Hello and welcome to the annual Mature Gamer Podcast Game of the Year show. I'm Kev, and with me as ever, this sheepdog, Anna and Pab. Say hello, boys and girls.
Hello, hello.
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 The winner is Balatro. See you next year, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There you go. That was easy, wasn't it? That was
It
easy.
was.
Do we all agree?
Very easy decision this year.
All agreed. Off we pop. See you next year.
Bye then. And
I don't know that Anna's necessarily throwing her weight behind Balatro there, more to the point she just wants to go to bed and she's very interested in a 60-second show. That could have been a YouTube short. I noticed Pab didn't agree and he's ruined it for everybody. We needed universal agreement there and he's ruined it for everybody. So I guess we'll have to do the normal voting process. For those of you who are new to our Game of the Year shows, that normal voting process is unnecessarily convoluted because that's how we roll. All four of us have come to the show with a shortlist of our 5 best games of 2024. And from there, we will whittle down to a final 4. Not necessarily through a system of voting. It'll be more a system of bartering, arguing, and deal making to get us to our overall podcast final 4, at which point we'll change things up and we will actually vote between the 4 of us and officially declare the Mature Gamer Podcast Game of the Year for 2024. It's also then usually the tradition that we put that 4 on Twitter as a poll so that you can vote and then we ignore your vote and just go with what we said anyway. But I don't know, Sheepdog's allergic to Twitter these days, so he might have an alternative solution up his sleeve. I bet he's given it nary a moment's thought.
I just assumed Pab would put it on Twitter.
How do I do it, Sheepdog? I don't have the login.
It's the password we use on
You're
everything.
the social media manager.
If you know one password, you know them all.
No, we've had this problem before, Sheepdog. Just get on with it.
Yeah, you can log into Twitter for one night only. Sheepdog's glorious Twitter return.
I dip in now and again if I have to look something up that I need.
Never say that sentence again. That's horrible. That's left a sour taste in the mouth. Goodness me, Sheepdog dips in every now and again. That literally shivers down my spine. Of course, it has been a couple of weeks since we've done an actual podcast. I don't know if there was one while me and Anna were away. Did you two bother to do one? I don't even remember. I haven't looked. They did they? That's good of them.
We did.
Yeah, I couldn't remember for a second. I was like, I think so. Yeah,
you are good boys. We won't be doing our normal gaming recap stuff this week or next week, because next week, of course, will be the Google Zeitgeist Review of the Year show. So when we come back in 3 weeks' time, goodness me, am I going to have a lot of games to talk about? Because I've played 100 hours of games that released this year in preparation for this show. I've properly done my homework. I am a good boy. But it wouldn't be Mature Gamer Podcast without a little bit of pre-official nonsense. So the floor is now open for any opening nonsense before we get on with the official proceedings of the evening. Would anyone like to come forward with some nonsense, or can we proceed?
I don't think I have any really this week.
Goodness me!
Wow.
I haven't gone to ChatGPT for one either. I mean, I could, but it's far away. And he's getting freaked out that it knows him too well at this point.
I'm getting freaked out that I can't remember most of the week. I mean, other than Christmas.
Christmas has happened. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Did Santa bring you anything exciting for Christmas? Or were you your normal pain in the trousers self?
I was myself in that Mrs. Sheepdog was asking me about 2 weeks before to tell her what I wanted, or she would just go and get some bits, and I told her not to go and get some bits, and then 3 days before, I suddenly had an idea for 6 things I wanted out of the blue, and I said, I'll order them. I'll just order them to the house. You can just wrap them. So she did that. But otherwise, no. I think the only thing that really happened in my family was my sister came down in the morning and their tree had fallen down and their living room was trashed. But I think it was just their dog had just gone to town on it all. But yeah, the rest of us were fine. We had our cat stay upstairs so that he wouldn't do the same thing in our house. No other shenanigans. Just
I just quickly threw one into ChatGPT just to see what it would think. I think it thinks your wife has a drinking problem, because I'm not going to read the whole thing, but apparently you did the school run wearing your slippers, accidentally took your wife's work bag that had a half-empty bottle of Prosecco in it, apparently, and then you gave your children's £50 notes for their lunch money, or words to that effect. Sheepdog's life.
That doesn't let me at all. It's proven that it just can't do it. It's not up to the task.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't give it a detailed intro this week. I just said, tell me another story about Sheepdog. So maybe I needed to remind it who you were with the paragraphs of data I put in previously. But yeah, I guess we move on and get straight into the game of the year so Anna can go to bed. Goodness me. Goodness gracious me. I, as ever, did a little bit of a Google to see what games released this year because I couldn't remember. I struggled to get to 5, to be honest. And I'm just looking through. I'm Googling it again now. What games released in 2024? I do have 5, as long as I'm allowed to include the one I'm going to include anyway. But I'm looking down the list now, and gaming's not what it used to be, is it? I'm looking at this. I mean, not that I want to go straight into old man mode, but
When I looked
I'm
through
struggling.
it,
Even without restricting myself to games I've played, I'm looking through and thinking, goodness me.
there's a lot of games that are well, not a lot of games. There's plenty of new IPs in there, or at least I think they're new. Or they're at least games I've not heard of. But like, do you know what I mean? There's just loads of mentions of just do you know what? I was literally looking at one when I said it. I mean, I'm worried about Pab catching me out with telling me this is a sequel to 10 games or whatever now before I pick one. But I've not heard of like Pacific Drive, that's listed there.
No.
Unicorn Overlord.
No.
I don't know if he's saying no or yes there.
No.
He's saying
It's
New.
new.
The Plucky Squire. There was literally an Ubisoft one I was looking
Brand new.
at, and I cannot find it. I'm going down this list again. Animal Well.
No.
Skull and Bones was the one I looked at when I said, "Oh, is that a new
No.
one?" Yeah.
Look at Pab pretending he knows what all these games are. You're such a hipster, Pabby. You
Yeah,
don't know all of those games. Not
I
a
do. Yeah.
chance.
Oh, yeah. Of course I do.
I'm not going to keep going on and on and on and
Absolute
on, but there's
nonsense.
lots like that on there. And then there's ones where, I mean, again, this might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Prince of Persia hadn't been released for a long time before the new one, had it?
Been at least 10 years, I want to say.
Yeah. So there's quite a few on there where they're not like a game.
Did that
every
come
2
out this
years.
year? Because I played that very briefly at EGX.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
there
came out
you
in
go.
January.
I've played 7 games this year. Huzzah! I mean, I did play that one last year at a convention and wasn't impressed, so I definitely wouldn't be nominating it. But that's my 7th game I've played this year. So hooray for me. Look at me being a games journalist.
I did think to myself, a rule for 2025 might be that I might try and see if I can get us a lot more of these games when they come out to actually review.
That never stopped being your job. You understand that, don't you?
No, I meant I'm going to make an
point
effort.
did we say, hey, Sheepdog, don't bother doing that anymore.
No, I know.
Frankly, we've had enough of all the free games. Please stop asking for them.
I tend to end up getting the requests from you guys at really inconvenient times. So maybe we need to make a process where you ask me about stuff and then I make it a job.
Just
to go and do it.
assume that if it's a big game, we want it. I wouldn't worry about getting us every little dodgy indie game that costs a £5, but I think it's a fair bet that if it's a full price video game, one of us will give it a bash, even if it's just to say it's rubbish.
You're expecting me to monitor the calendar.
Yes, that's exactly what we're expecting.
And that's the bit that
You
I'm
need
not going to
monitor
do.
the calendar. Yeah. Well, Pab, you tell him when the games come out. Give him a list. I feel like we've given him lists before. This time every year, I think we give him a list for the upcoming year.
I don't think you bloody do. If you did that, that'd be really handy.
I distinctly remember Anna giving you quite a long list. At
Oh,
one
I
point.
stopped asking because nothing came.
No, but yeah, that's the problem.
games.
Anna will ask me while I'm like up a mountain somewhere, and I have to then try and remember to do it. And then when I look, it's like 6 weeks before the game's out, and they're telling me to
tell
get
you
lost
what we
or whatever,
should
I don't know.
do then, Sheephead. When we all convene once a week to record this podcast, either before or after the show, you should just say, hey guys, does anyone have any game requests this week?
This is it. Team
And we'll
meeting before the
request them
show.
then. Yeah, exactly. Just ask us every week, because I'll level with you. Months go by where I forget video games exist, so I'm not going to remember to ask you for them, even though theoretically we do a video games podcast. I've played hundreds of hours of games this year, but most of them were Football Manager and in the last 2 weeks. There's 50 weeks of this year went by where I didn't touch anything other than Football Manager and Balatro, really. So I'm going to need a reminder that games come out throughout the year And I do have a bone to pick with Pabby, which we'll get to when I
was
get to
gonna
my
say,
shortlist.
I have that same problem, Kev. So this needs to
I
be.
mean, Mr. I know all the games perhaps needs to share his knowledge a little bit more.
Yeah, it's Pab's fault as always, basically.
Because I mean, in fact, I was going to say this. I'm going to go straight into it now. Pab, you put me off Metaphor at the time.
Huh?
Because you told me it was like Persona, but without all the interaction stuff. It was just the battling stuff on Persona. That was how you summed it up. And that was like, oh, so it's the worst bit of Persona then.
No.
What it actually is it's got all the interactions done differently in a different setting. And even better than Persona, you can auto battle all the fighting. I've almost played through this entire game. I am just before the final boss where I've had to stop to record this podcast. I haven't done a single battle myself. It's all auto battled all the way through. And all I've done is use this as a friendship simulator. And it's been beautiful. I've had a lovely time making all my little digital friends. And it's literally the opposite of how you described it to me when you put me off.
Nope. This is called selective hearing.
I
You
think
hear
we
what
need to
you
go
want
to
to
VAR.
hear.
I think we need to pull tapes out because I'm pretty sure that's how you described it.
I don't think I would have done.
All I know
I think
is
I think I probably said you don't go to school because you don't go to school.
that to me implied all the stuff that took place in the school in Persona doesn't take place. When in actual fact, it takes place over an entire world where I can teleport and go to various cities and do all sorts of awesome things. And I fly around in a massive walking mechanical sheep, basically, that can fly and swim. And I live in it, but don't sleep in it very often. It's bonkers and brilliant. And I can't believe I waited until the 22nd of December to open this game for the first time. I did buy pre-release. You did enough of a sales pitch on me to convince me to buy it, and then as it was downloading, you turned me and put me off again, so I never opened it. You're lucky I told you when I finished Dragon Age, because you then followed up with an immediate play Metaphor now, and I was like, well, I've got nothing to do, so I started it. And you're lucky because it's very good, and I might have missed out on it, and then I'd have been very upset with you 3 years down the line when I discovered it for myself for the first time.
Yeah, I bet right.
Oh, I already own it. I must have got this on a Humble Bundle at some point. You haven't bought one of them for 10 years, Kev. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it's on my Steam, but I've got it, and it's really good. But yeah, I've got it, and it's really good. And it's Pab's fault that I left it this late to play it. You silly, silly boy, Pabby. But yeah, shall we? I guess we'll go straight into our fives, because I suspect there's going to be some bartering and some back and forth shenanigans that need to go on. And as I've already given one of mine, I guess I'll do my 5 straight away. So this is my 5, and I'm going to come at you with a preemptive argument that me and Sheepdog have already started via WhatsApp, and I suspect Pab's going to come in and try and argue. We'll get to that. So my 5. We'll discuss them in a moment, but my 5 in order, reverse order. So number 5, Pokemon TCG Pocket. I've played it a lot, therefore it gets into the 5. Number 4, not controversial at all, Persona 3 Reload. We'll talk about it in a moment. Number 3, Dragon Age The Veilguard, which I have now played through in full and very much enjoyed. Number 2, Metaphor ReFantasio, because it is awesome. And in any other year, probably would have been number 1. But number 1, I said at the start of the show, I've played 100 hours of games in the last couple of weeks, all that came out this year. And all that's done is really firmed up my original decision. I shouldn't have wasted my time, because the game of the year, obviously, is Balatro, number 1. Balatro, it's where it's going to be. We're going in early with that in number 1, and it's just going to stay there and walk away with the prize because it's great. Now, obviously, Persona 3 Reload is the one there that is going to cause some grumping from the grumpuses. I preempted it with a text this morning because previously we've had a rule where we're not allowed remakes, and it's been a rule we've had for 15 years of doing this. but I could see the future and knew that Sheepdog was going to put Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on his list because he told us 2 weeks ago. And if he's allowed a remake, damn it, I'm allowed a remake. And I've got receipts. I have the Wikipedia descriptions of the 2 games in front of me. I've already sent them to you, but for the benefit of the listeners, this is how Wikipedia describes Persona 3 Reload. Let me get my description out. So Persona 3 Reload is a 2024 role-playing video game, blah, 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 blah. Reload is a remake of Persona 3, blah, 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 blah. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a 2024 action role-playing game, blah, 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 blah. Exactly the same wording. The game is a sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake and the second in a planned trilogy of games remaking Final Fantasy VII. So the same wording again. So they're both 2024 role-playing games and they're both remakes of older games. Therefore, the way I've put it in our little WhatsApp discussion, I am happy to go either way on this. We can include both of them or neither of them, but we can't make a special exception for Sheepdog's little favourite.
I explained to you in the WhatsApp chat that the plot of Rebirth hinges on the fact that the other game exists and it's a sequel to that.
But by the other game existing, you mean remake. You don't mean the original Final Fantasy VII.
No, I mean the original Final Fantasy VII. The plot references the fact that there is an original Final Fantasy VII, and it's important to the story that original Final Fantasy VII story has happened. And I'm trying really hard not to spoil the game, as I explained to you in the text as well. And they can't say it's a sequel in all of the stuff without ruining some of the twists to it, really. So again, I tried to avoid having this debate on the podcast because I didn't want to spoil it for anybody.
Oh, anyone who cares has already played it.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoil away.
No, you're right.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
No, I mean that's about as far as
Yeah, he's not spoiled it yet. I think we're fine sticking where we are.
So yeah, that was my argument. I don't really care, if I'm honest, because I mean, A, Persona's not going to win it, and B, like I don't know enough about Persona to know how much of a remake over a reimagining over a.
I mean, it is a remake in so much as there are different story elements to it. It's still the same overall plot, but that plot takes different routes to get there to what it did previously, and the story does have differences from the original version of the story. It also has completely different game mechanics based on the Persona 5 engine, and the way Persona 5 plays. So it's taken some of the gameplay elements from Persona 5 that weren't in Persona 3 and introduced them into 3, and it's rebuilt the entire game. Well, the point I made in our little pre-show discussion was it's not just a bit of spit polish graphics update like a lot of the remakes were when we originally decided remakes weren't allowed, because that rule came in around about the time where everything was getting remade all the time because they
like Last of Us.
Yeah, they released stuff on PS3 and then released it again on PS4 2 years later with a 4K skin over the top of it, and it wasn't a remake. It was a polish. It was a remaster. It wasn't a remake. Persona 3 is a complete remake. No, I didn't include Persona, and this, me and Anna have had this discussion as well. She's bored of hearing this. I've not included Persona 5 Royal on the list, partly because it originally came out last year, but didn't include it last year because Persona 5 Royal was more of a DLC to Persona 5. It wasn't a remake. It didn't remake original Persona 5. It just added in elements. So it was like an expansion pack, a DLC. Whereas Persona 3 Reload completely rebuilt the game from the ground up. So to me, I think we allow it. It's allowed because it's not the kind of remake that we always didn't want to allow all those years ago. I want Pab's thoughts on this. Because I imagine you've played both.
Things... No, God no.
Extensively, all the way through.
No.
Mister, I know all the games.
I know all the games. I don't play all the games. First things first. Do you have a 6, like an alternate?
I mean, I could throw Prince of Persia
So,
or
so
EA,
no, you
EA's,
don't.
EAFC,
So
EAFC
realistically,
could
it's
go
staying
in.
regardless. I don't. Are you happy to open this can of worms? Because
I think if we're strict on the rules, in
right,
so much as long as it's
as long
an
as they suit
actual
you.
as long as it's an actual remake, I think. I mean, I guess we're coming to the end of a console generation again, so we might be starting to re-enter the world of remasters. It was the remasters thing that we always wanted to not include.
Yeah,
'cause
remakes
they went down that whole route of like polishing stuff that came out 2 years ago and trying to call it a new game. Persona 3 came out 20 years ago and has been completely remade. It's not that it's a polished up version of a recent game. It's nearly as old as Final Fantasy VII and has been remade.
I mean, the more you say it, the more, like I say, I have no horse in this race. To be honest with you, when you brought it up, I just sat back and watched it all happen. But my initial thought is, Final Fantasy is fine, Persona isn't. Only because
you're a monster.
Only because all I've heard about Persona 3, is it Persona 3? Yeah, Persona 3 is that it's Persona 3 in the Persona 5 engine. That's all I've heard about it. Whereas I know that Rebirth is a completely different thing.
We've already set a precedent in this very episode for you describing Atlas games really badly. So.
Oh no, it's not. That's not me. That's what I've heard. Because I've not played it. That is what I've heard when people talk about it.
I mean, yeah, that is what it is. But it also had by putting it in the engine, that means it plays differently because it originally had different game mechanics because it was in a different engine. So some of the stuff that was in it originally is no longer there. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't in it originally that's now been added to it, and there are changes to the story as well. Full disclosure, I've not played it all the way through to the end, so I didn't want to dig too deep on this. I did Google, is the end the same? Apparently the ending is the same as the original ending, but the route you get there is different to how it used to be.
I say we let him open this.
Like I say, for me, it doesn't matter because neither of them are getting in anyway, so it doesn't matter.
While he opens this can of worms, it means that I can vote for Suikoden 1 and 2 remake.
I'm putting Dead Rising in
next year. In March, it's coming out. I'll be playing that.
Dead Rising, indeed.
That came out this year.
It also came out originally like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was a full remake though.
Is it balls?
Was it that bad that they had to remake it?
No, they made it all in the new Resident Evil engine.
What I wish I had done, knowing if I'd known about this, I'd have tried to get hold of that Baldur's Gate 2 remake that they're doing in the Baldur's Gate 3 engine.
That doesn't count because that's not real.
It's not actually been released.
That's a mod.
Yeah,
I know it's a mod pad, but it's a full game. Anyway,
it's not a full game.
It's not a full game. It's a mod for another game.
We'll draw the line where I draw it when it suits me each year. At the moment, it suits me for the line to be here. If I have to move the line again next year, I will come with solid arguments for why that should be the case next year. Worry not.
You put enough of it into this, you could have played another game.
I mean, I couldn't. Dragon Age was like 50 hours. Metaphor is 50 hours and still going.
Easy.
And obviously I still had to play plenty of Balatro in the meantime as well. Persona is another 50 or 60 hours. I've not picked short games here. I had planned to try and squeeze a couple more in, but I looked down the list and was like, well, I guess I could get Princess Peach Showtime and give it a blast. There's not really much on here that appeals to me at all. So I wasn't that desperate to do it. I was just having a lovely time playing Metaphor. It is really, really great. I'm sure we'll talk about Balatro and Dragon Age in more detail a little bit later on. I don't expect Pokemon TCG Pocket to have a proper discussion around it because it's barely a game, but I am enjoying it very much, and I am actually playing it, unlike Mr. Pack opening over there. I am actually playing. Well, I'm talking to both of you, you pack opening rascals. I'm actually playing the game. So I feel like on that basis I can call it a game, but I don't expect it to go any further than just getting a mention now because it's great. But who wants to give their 5 next? And we'll get into some proper discussions a little later on.
I want to talk because you just scathed me there.
That's how
I
I
am
roll.
I am debating where I want to put it on my list, but I've been playing Pokemon TCG Pocket very heavily and doing
But you've
the
actually been playing the
the
game.
multiplayer
Wow,
playing
Sheepdog's
other
learnt to
people.
play Pokemon TCG after all these
Yeah,
years.
I did all of the tasks you have to do to unlock stuff. You know, the challenges where it's like these fire ones with water or whatever. And then I thought, right, I'm ready to play other people now. And I must say that I probably lost like 20 in a row or something stupid. Like I was really bad at it, and I was starting to learn. And I've ended up just doing that really fudging route of having a Gardevoir power up a Mewtwo, which isn't even the best route anymore because people are chucking Mews out that can just do your best move in one. Like, you know, if they get 3 whatever's on them, they can attack you back immediately. So there's loads of counters to that now that I've started using it. But yeah, no, I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying playing it properly. And I get what you mean about it barely being a game in one respect, but actually, you know, they've managed this game. So the card game in general has been around for a long time, and the virtual version of it has been around for a long time as well. And this is the first time they've ever done an app that's actually been worth playing this much. You know, someone said to me, "Have I played the one you install on the computer and all of that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've like twice," and I just found it really boring. This has been fantastic.
It is a different version of the game as well. It's like speed Pokemon TCG because rather than a 60 card deck, give a 20 card deck. You only have to get to 3 rather than to 5. So there are differences in it as well. The way energies work is completely different. So it's taken the same cards and made a different game out of them.
So
which is jolly good. It's not a remake. It's a whole new game.
Reimagining.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think with that, I am the way I'd written my list, I'd put it third. Now I did similar to you in that I was worrying about what I was going to put for my fourth and fifth, and you know, I had lots of stuff on my list that I have played this year that came out this year. You know, I mentioned before about Ayuden Chronicles, which was like a Suikoden. The people that made Suikoden all lost their jobs years ago, got back together, did a Kickstarter, made a game. But it was really long, and I just didn't have time to play it. And I feel like it didn't make my list because I didn't give it the time it needed. I was kind of in the middle of Rebirth. I went straight into Baldur's Gate, and yeah, I just had a really, really busy year of playing these sort of 150 plus hour games that just absorbed all of my time. Yeah, so that didn't make my list. I remember I was thinking about. I made a list of games that I was quite like hyped about as well, and I was thinking about how I was convinced that Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League was going to be like a really fun game, and then they made that online nonsense subscription thing and absolutely killed that. So I was very disappointed that didn't turn out to be right. I've learned to not get my hopes up about games coming out in the year ahead. I considered, I'm not going to do this, but I seriously considered trying to find some sort of logic that could allow me to vote for Neopets, and I was digging in for about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, and I thought, do you know what, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to put that forward, but I really wish I could because I've spent so much time on it this year. It's ridiculous how much of my routine each morning involves doing my Neopet daily activities. And the other one that didn't make my list was the Sonic X Shadow Generations, which would have officially had to have been leaning towards more the Shadow Generations. And that's because while it is fun, and it's, you know, I've enjoyed playing it, and my son's been watching me play it over the past week. I don't know. I just felt like it would be a very dismissive number 5. I have much reason to push it in. So my actual number 5 is going to be the Mario Party Jamboree game. And I know that sounds like an odd thing to say after what I just said about Sonic X Shadow. But the reason I put it on there is it's exactly what I wanted from the other Mario Party games that came out. You can use any controller on it rather than only a little one. And it's much bigger. It's so much bigger. It's got a lot of extra side games in it. It's got more fancy stuff in it, just like clever little twists and stuff. It just feels like they've thrown the kitchen sink at it and made a much more fun game that you can adapt a bit more to what you have available. You don't have to kind of play it or not play it on their terms. You can be like, right, I've only got these controllers to hand. I've only got these people to hand. Let's go. And it'll chuck in like a computer player to play with you, and you can set them up and so forth. So I thought, do you know what? I was really worried about playing it and not liking it and thinking, well, what am I going to do if I don't like it? But I did like it. It was very good. Astrobot, I showed that I got that at Christmas,
Oh,
and
okay.
me and my youngest have been playing that together. Well, I've been playing it, he's been watching, loving that, really impressed with it. I can see why that got a lot of sort of Game of the Year votes from people. It's just really fun going through the levels, finding all the different bots and puzzle pieces and other bits and bobs. There's so much effort gone into making a sort of creative little thing. Yeah, it's worthy of its place. So I mentioned Pokemon TCG Pocket being third. I debated then where I was going to put these last two, and I'm going with Balatro second because I love it. I've played it non-stop. It's fantastic. We've talked about it loads. When Kev first mentioned it, I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll have a look at it at some point. And then I think the price put me off a little bit, if I'm honest, when I saw it was like 10 quid for an app. And I thought, yeesh, like, it's a card game, isn't it? Like, how good can it be? And if it had been 10 quid on like the Switch or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, cool, okay. But 10 quid for a card game that I'm just going to play on the toilet, I was like, I don't know about that. And eventually I just bought it because I thought, you know what, this just sound really good. And I played it at least an hour a day since, effectively. I usually start playing it during football or towards the end of the night or whatever. I'm just hooked on it. It's so good. And then, lastly, Rebirth, because, I mean, it is just perfect. It's like, yeah, I just did everything that I would have wanted it to do. And as I say, if it had been a remake, I'd have been like, yeah, fine, it can't be voted in, but it's worthy of its place or whatever. But it does. It's funny, actually, when Kev messaged me, I started looking I was going to smack him back down with evidence or whatever. And there's this very annoying, like, load of noise on Reddit where people are like, it's not a sequel, it's just a remake, stop it. And so many people are pointing out to them the amount of times the game explains how that's not true. And they're like, but the guy that made the game said in an interview in 2022 that they're making it as a remake. And it's like, yeah, but when you play the game, it says otherwise, and that's happened before. And anyway, so I didn't have any way of pushing back at Kev with an article because all of these nerds have just taken over the internet. But
go nerds!
But oh my god, if you haven't played it and you in any way liked the old games, play it. If you haven't played any of them, play the original and then play this because it's just wonderful. And I have to put it first because I know I'm the only person who's going to put it as their game of the year out of our lot. And I feel like it in the big companies where they did all of this, it kind of ended up being everybody's second and being a nod. And they gave it to some other game, but they nodded at that, and it's like, oh, it deserves to be the top one. But anyway, that's my 5.
Anna,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
you are. Give us your 5 in reverse order from 5 to 1.
I don't really have an order. It's just I just wrote them down because I was a bit through.
You're gonna have to have a think now and come up with an order then.
Okay, so
you can go from 1 to 5 if it's easier to pick your favourite one.
5 to 1 is 5, so it's Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2, Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Whoa! I'm trying to write these down. So number 5 is what?
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us anything about it, or are you just going to list it off?
Well, you told me I needed 5.
And that's why that's on there.
Yeah, because that's all I could.
Which I think says a lot about the state of gaming in 2024, because Anna plays everything new that comes out. And if she struggled to put 5, that's a worry.
I just don't have the brain power, especially when I'm with Rue all day and he wanted to play today. It was like 3 o'clock and you need 5 games and I'm there playing in the night garden. And
you did know 2 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, but it's been Christmas, Kevin. I've forgotten. You told me we were doing this on a Saturday, for weeks. So I haven't been thinking.
So what's your number 4?
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2. Okie dokie.
Is
that one?
It's just fun to play. You don't have to talk to anyone, but you can just go on and you're with other people, 3 other people, and you can just follow them around and help them do things. I still don't know what
Is this the one with the guy who has the really posh English accent? Or is that something else?
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of me?
Might be, yeah.
You basically you're just it's like with oh my god, what is it? Revive Me. What was that? Oh my
Gears
god,
of
Gears
War?
of War. Yeah, so it's a bit like that. You go down, like you're in a spaceship, and then you're like sent down in like a pod, and then you're like with 3 other people, and you go around like this planet, and you kill like these aliens or / robots, depending on what's there. Like the first time I did it, I went on my own. I had no one with me. I died. So you have to go with people. But when you're down there, you can call like weapons down and put sentries up, and then it's like they tell you to like keep like stay in this area for like a minute, so you can get your helicopter thing down to come and collect your spaceship to go back up. So it just gives me that vibes. And I don't have to talk to anyone if I don't want to, which I don't because I don't talk. But I just follow around, and it's quite easy to figure out what you're doing, and you share resources, stuff like that. So yeah, that's one I thought about.
Okay. Number 3.
I've got my phone's turned off. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Never heard of it. You know that's a remake. You kind of like we can't include that.
I'm really not going to get into that argument because I can't bothered. We've already had not arguments, but disagreements. So I'm not going to go through that with you. But I put some hours into it. It is completely different to the first one, as in like the graphic style and the way it's paced and the way you do things. But then it is the same story. Like I haven't finished it, but it does. Yeah, I think something came out, and I just, as I do, go on to other things. I haven't finished a lot this year. Like that's one of my goals for next year is to finish games. Because I don't do that. Like I'm playing at the moment.
Yeah.
I started God of War again, and I looked at my last one, and I was 90% done. So I had 10%.
So why did you start it again rather
because
than
I had
just
no
finishing
idea
it?
what was going on, and because you have battles and you have different presses, and I was like, I don't remember any of this, and it's a good game. Like I'm not gonna. I don't mind playing it. It's a good game. So yeah, I'm just happily playing that at the moment. But I was saying, yeah, Rebirth. So like, I got to like where you're at the carnival thing, and you fall down, and that's where I'm at. So I don't know how far that is in the game. Couldn't tell you, but yeah, it's different, and like it's not one game because this is the second game already, and like I put in like 60 hours in the first part, and then I'm on this one. Like I am going to finish it because I said I'm going to finish games because I can't think of anything that's coming out soon. So yeah, but yeah. So and it's lovely. It's lovely to look at. It's different and it's Final Fantasy. Like I've liked Final Fantasy since I was like what 15. 14, 15, I don't know, maybe earlier.
And now, thanks to your greatest Christmas present ever, you can play loads of the old ones as well, because me and Anna both have these little emulator Game Boy style things now. So I've loaded that up with, it's got every Final Fantasy that ever released on a Nintendo or a SNES or a Game Boy or Game Boy Advance or anything. So I think it's everything up to 8. There were Nintendo versions of. Well,
I
1,
love
2, 3, 4,
9.
5, 6, and 7 are all on there.
9
is probably a bit too advanced for this little £50 fake Game Boy.
Why 7 on there? 7 wasn't on any Nintendo stuff.
7 was on Game Boy Advance, apparently.
Oh wow.
Huh.
There is a Game Boy Advance version. So plus, it can do PS1 and PSP games as well. So if 8 was on PS1, I could probably find you the PS1 version. It's just the PS1 ROMs are much bigger than the Nintendo ROMs, so it's harder to put them on the tiny little SD cards that we've got at the moment. So once I get the big SD cards I've ordered, I can put you a load of PS1 games on there anyway. So yeah, if whatever it was Final Fantasy 8 on PlayStation 1,
probably.
then
10
I
was
can
on
probably find it for
PlayStation
you.
2 because that's why I bought a PlayStation 2
Okay.
with my first pay packet. I just got that. Went next because I worked at Burger King, got paid, went 2 shops down, went into game, and bought myself a PlayStation 2 and Final Fantasy 10. And then I took it home and I sat there for a long time. Very good times.
Splendid.
When I was little.
What's your number 2 on your list?
Astrobot.
Okay.
It's great. I love
Mhm,
Astrobot. It like there is challenge in it. I think I've got a cold coming. There is a challenge into it. I've wanted to throw my controller a few times on the bosses, but that's just bad timing on my part. Like you just have to learn what their attacks are. But apart from that, like I love every level was great. Like I would go back and play them multiple times to clear them, to get the gold thing, to go and find the secret vortex and everything that's in there. So it was 100%. And sometimes I would just go in just to look at things, like the spoilers, everybody, but like the God of War world is absolutely beautiful, and the later ones are even better. Like they are just, oh my god, like they're so great. Like how they've put them together. And one of the last ones, I was in awe. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like what they've done there, they should, like, I don't want to spoil it, but what they did in that, they should have done on somewhere else on a different game, because that was like it was so good. But yeah, Astro Boy is just so fun. You've not played it, have you, Kevin?
No,
Out
I've
of the
watched you
four
play
of
it.
us, you're the only one that's not played it. But yeah, I love
This
it.
is one of, in all honesty, this is one of the games where I was planning on getting round to. Mentioned I wanted to get round to it. Watched you play it for a bit. Watched a YouTube video on it, and
Like it's not here, but you're watching it.
don't
It's
care
different
about
because
platformers.
no,
So
but
I don't want
it's
to play
not.
a
No,
platformer ever
and
again. Probably.
it's not that. It's like, yes, it's gimmicky, but the controller, the feedback you get from the controller for the different types of.
That doesn't appeal to me in the
Oh gosh,
slightest.
yeah, but it is. It's so good. Like I can't explain. Like you get, like, obviously you get rumbling games, but this is perfect. Like you go through, like, I don't know, a bunch of knots, and you can feel every knot touching you. It's
I can feel my nuts touching me all the time. I'm 42 years
I
old.
knew that was coming.
They're banging into my legs every time I walk.
But yeah, I love Astrobot, and he's cute. And like this started as a VR game, and now they're branching
Well,
out.
they had a tech demo bundled with something at some point.
The
It
VR?
was
PS5
bundled with
launch.
PS5.
PS5,
And again,
yeah.
you made me play that for an hour, and I was like, yeah, it's just showing me the controller works. That has put me off playing this version more, because that was so boring. It was
You're
just,
weird.
yeah, the controllers. I just can't get excited about this kind of game anymore. Platformy stuff goes into the same category as shooty stuff. The games I've enjoyed in the past and just don't see myself coming back round to.
So you just rather play games that play for you? Like I don't.
Yeah,
that's boring.
I want the story. I
Mm.
don't want to play any kind of game where it's possible to fail. I think that's the thing. And that's what annoys me. And with the mature gamer podcast, it will come to you all. Platforming games, you can fall off stuff, you can die. I've not got
Yeah,
time
but
for
it's
that.
like
I'm not interested.
it is. It's not like in the old days. Like it's proper. It's instant. You're back in it. It doesn't even. You're back in.
Yeah, it just plops you down if you die.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like.
Yeah, but I'm not redoing stuff.
No,
I don't do stuff a second time.
No, it would just plop you where you got up, where you went off. So anyway, you don't have to play it, and that's fine, because I know the other two have played it. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good game. It deserves to be there. It won loads of like awards, so I know I'm right.
I see.
Mhm.
Tabby, give us your 5.
I've got
Right.
another one, because that was
Get that.
4.
That was 5.
That was 4.
Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2. Are they the same game? Stellar
I've
Blade,
given you
Helldivers 2,
4.
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Astrobot. Oh no, that is only 4. Yeah, sorry. Go on, give us your 5th. I've written it down already because I know what it is.
Yeah, but you're like, Pablo, I'm like, I haven't even talked about.
Because I forgot you hadn't talked about it, because I wrote it down 10 minutes ago because I knew what it was.
What was it?
Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Oh, it's so good. oh my god, this game! I just want to love it. I want to get a head injury so I forget it, so I can go and play it again. Oh my god,
Wow.
it's so good! It's so good. I put this in, and that was all I played until I finished it. And a great game. Like I did not put it down because normally I'm like, I'll play something for a bit and then I'll go and play something else and then I'll go and come back to it. But this, I played it from finish to start. I can't remember how many hours. I want to say around 80 or 90 because Kevin's like, I don't know how Kevin has done it in half the time ish. I don't get it, but he didn't go and do any of the side missions.
I did all the side missions.
You did not.
I
You
did.
told me you didn't.
I did all the ones that were important.
Exactly. See, you didn't do all of them.
Right, because that gets into my criticism of this game a little bit, having now played it. There's a lot of fetch and carrying nonsense going on in this. The story is great. The interaction with the other characters is great. The missions themselves, bobbins, absolute bobbins. The final mission, the bit at the end, really, really good. A lot of the quests along the way are go here, fetch this thing, bring it back. And it gets pretty repetitive.
Bringing back.
There was loads of that.
No, it was go here and investigate this castle. And then you'd investigate it, and then you would have completed the mission. It just completes. And like, you didn't do any of that. You didn't find the well spirit.
Yes, I did.
Well, you said you did.
In the village? No, I didn't. We've had this conversation, and I said, "Yeah, I found
it."
it." Because you've tested me on this before when you've said I didn't play the side missions, and you gave me like 4, and I was like, "Yeah, I did all of them."
Anyway, great game. I just need to do a few bits to get platinum, but it's a great game. I love everything. I was so sad what happened, but I'm fine with it. I'm not fine with it. You know, I think I have to play that end of it again and choose a different person because I was not happy that they need to be alive. Awful for me. Because like there's only 2 you can pick, and I don't want to pick that one. I don't want to pick that. Awful picking, but yeah, great game. Kevin was trying to love one person and ended up being assaulted by another. That was quite funny when he told me that.
Yeah, I mean the romance. you know I like a romance storyline in a game. I was a little frustrated with this because it kind of forces you into a romance unless you are a monster. Because certainly the way I played it, every character, when you had a romance option, I would always pick the romance option because I wanted to keep my options open as long as possible. But I'm sure everybody knows by now there is a character called Tash, who is the reason the game got review bombed by meatheads because they're non-binary, and I was still romancing them. And it gets to the point where it's the first time you have the option to take a romance further with anybody. And it gives you 3 options. Option 1 is don't be non-binary. Option 2 is don't be non-binary. Option 3 is snog my face off. So I either have to be an absolute scumbag on the other 2 options or kiss her. And once you've kissed her, you're locked in. There's no way to get out of that. There's no way to then go off and romance somebody else. You basically are presented with a decision really quite early on in the game where you have to commit to a lifetime with this person or be an absolute awful human being. And yeah, I think that was a little bit heavy-handed. Give me an option to be like, you be you live your life the way you want to live, but I want to go and suck the face of this other person over here if it's all the same with you, and that wasn't an option. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if every reasonable person in the world ended up in a romance with her, because if you didn't, you're a monster. Because you had to pick one of the evil options. Or I guess you didn't have to press the heart stuff early on. So if you never instigated, then you weren't presented with that.
This is a you problem.
I was just flirting with everybody.
Yeah. Just why don't you're saying like I just want to keep my options open.
I should choose them based purely on what they look like. Let's not get to know them.
No.
Let's just choose them early on based on what they look like.
Don't flirt with everybody around.
How do I work out who I want to bang?
Keep it civil, and then get to know them, and then flirt with them. What are you doing?
You flirt with everybody, and then pick the one you like best.
On my Baldur's Gate playthrough, Pab, I bedded everyone. Basically, I think Shadowheart and Will are the only characters that didn't get it in that game, because I kept my options open. I was on everybody's side. I bedded everyone. I had everyone assuming I was an ally with them.
Yeah, that's a different game. I don't think you can bed.
No, I'm just saying that's how you got to play these things. That's the right way to play.
You don't have to romance everybody, though.
Comparing this to previous Dragon Ages, comparing it to Mass Effect, all these other BioWare games, there were. I didn't play this differently to how I played those, but never before have I been put into a position of you have to be a scumbag or you have to have this relationship.
Mass Effect, I had everything open as well. It was like, again, my shepherd, just everyone.
And I mean, in the end, it wasn't the end of the world anyway, because it ended up being awesome. That storyline was really, really good, but I would have just liked the option. That would have been nice, but I guess no, you can't have the option. You're either scum or you're with Tash. Different characters pronounce it differently in the game, which confused me as well. Some were saying Tash, some were saying Tash. I don't know what it is.
Taash.
Yeah, which I guess is Tash, but I think it's Nev says Tash. And yeah, my
cat Nev.
There you go. Yeah, Anna, please continue.
Well, no,
because I knew I didn't really talk about Dragon Age because I knew it would come up with you and Pabby. So I was keeping my powder dry for when there would be a Dragon Age discussion, and you just opened the door to my criticism of a couple of criticisms I had that basically made it third on my list, Metaphor and Balatro. When I was playing it, there were times when I was thinking, yeah, this is not going to be possible to be beaten. And it wasn't until I played Metaphor and it was even better. I was like, okay, for actual games, this is the best one.
Yeah, but you love Persona, so
I do love Persona.
Whereas I
would posit that Metaphor is better than any of the Persona games I've played.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's taken that core of what Persona is and improved it and added a bit more variety and a little bit less
is
feeling
this a
like
remake then or something?
No, this is a brand new
it's
IP.
The way it's named, I'm like, is it a reimagining of a game? But okay, cool.
No, it's a brand new game, but it's by the same team. The music is basically the music from Nier Automata, which is brilliant, because I loved that game as well. And it's like the music style from that. It's set in a fantasy setting rather than a Japanese school. But everything works more organically and fluidly rather than having Persona at times. As much as I love it, feels like two separate games. You have the high school simulator and then the stuff that takes place when you're fighting the monsters.
I was talking about Dragon Age.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about all games. And this kind of blurs the lines between those different areas and it moves back and forth between them more often. And yeah, I think it probably is better than any Persona game I've played. And you should all go, if you've ever enjoyed anything about Persona, you should go and play Metaphor, because despite what Pab says, it's even better.
Anyway,
continue about Dragon Age.
Kevin has talked about his games again.
Didn't talk about them the first time. So,
you did. Anyway,
didn't, just listed them.
We've had an argument today, so he's just being a little annoying.
We haven't had an argument. Anna was mean to me.
I was not mean to
hurry up, talk about Dragon Age.
I don't even know what I said, but it was brilliant. I played it all the way through. It's one of the two games I've actually finished this year that I can remember. I don't finish games. I don't know why. I just don't. But I finished Astrobot and Dragon Age. And Dragon Age played it all the way through without having a break, and I loved it, and it was great, and it was BioWare's back again. Like, yes, BioWare. A little bit. It was the faces again were a little bit Pixar, but I don't mind that. Like, I have no issue with Pixar looking people. My
Try playing it on a Steam Deck, you won't even notice because the graphics are so horrific on the Steam Deck. It's like playing Oblivion.
my Rook, beautiful. Like, I've seen Kevin's, I'm like, and like it, and then I watch videos of other people, I'm thinking, who's that? Like I know it's Rook because they're saying their lines, but they look completely different. So it breaks my brain. But I loved her. She was the best, and yes, and everything is yes. Like yes, and they've left it open for the next one. It'll probably be a 10-year wait, but I will wait because it has been 10 years since I played the last one, and that was also I played that all the way through and finished it. Great. On to Pab.
Abby, you're 5, please, sir.
Oh, yep, it's me. Hang on. Getting mid-list out. My shortlist is 15.
Well, if you say more than 6 of them,
See?
you're disqualified from the voting process.
Hang on a minute.
I'm not
Well,
having
shall
you
I-
sit here and list 15 games. That's unacceptable.
Why not?
Because that's nonsense, Pab.
Well,
There's
I'm
not
doing
been
it
15
anyway.
games released this year.
Yeah, this is the thing.
I'm looking through the list. There's no way there's 15 games worthy of Game of the Year that have been released this year. I won't have it. I won't stand for it, Pabby.
Right, I'll take one off.
You're going to start listing a load of Bobbins indie games,
DLC,
aren't
and
you?
you'll kick off about that.
Absolutely, I will.
So shout outs to games that didn't make my list. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Dragon's Dogma 2, Stellar Blade, 1,000 Times Resist, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and Balatro.
Oh, you're an idiot. You've lost all credibility there.
Didn't make my into my top 5.
That feels like tactical voting.
No.
If your 5 isn't 5 of the greatest games in history, this is all tactics from Pabby, and I'm going to start removing. I'm removing Dragon Age. I'm putting FIFA in instead because you're a monster. Go on, give us your 5.
So I have had 4 for quite a while, and then another 4 sat in the contention list, and I have and ahed which ones to go with. The ones in contention were Thank Goodness You're Here, Indica, Metaphor Refantasio, and the one that actually won in that contention list is the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game. I haven't finished it. Definitely haven't finished it, but I put 15 hours in now. And yeah, I find myself just playing it and just immersed in the world and just enjoying the puzzles. The combat is fine. It isn't like I initially felt the pressure of being stealthy, and I was like, I don't care. It felt a lot of pressure of me sitting behind boxes waiting for guards and doing passes and stuff like that. I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to run around and just be Indiana Jones and just bash people with vases and stuff like that and bottles of wine and stuff like that. It's fun. And yeah, I've really got into it. I've been to now like 5 or 6 locations, and the initial ones, yes, are big open, like sort of like big semi-open world levels where you can do multiple different things in there. I've been to the Vatican City. I've been to Giza, and I did a few different things in Giza. I went to the pyramids and what have you. And then I moved on from there, knowing full well you can go back at a certain point and do the side quest stuff. I went to where have I been? I have been to the Himalayas. I have been to Shanghai, and now I'm in Siam, which I think is. I don't know where Siam is now. I want to say Siam.
I believe it's pronounced Simon.
Siam.
Yeah.
I think is it? Might be wrong. Is it Vietnam? Siam? Can't remember now.
Idea.
I don't know.
Idea,
but anyway, what I'm saying is, what I thought was some of these levels are just kind of like you kind of just experience the level and you just go through the level as doing whatever it is. It's kind of like not on rails but linear. Whereas there's some big open worlds where you do have side quests given to you and stuff like that, and now you don't. So it's impressed me. My number 4 is I'm gonna go with Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is probably number 4. Oh, there you go. Sheepdog put Thailand. I was thinking Vietnam or Thailand. Well done, Sheepdog. Anyway, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I put 90 plus hours into Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Still not finished it. I was hoping to have it finished before the Game of the Year stuff, but then, like I say, Dragon Age has taken over, and Indiana Jones and many other things. But I love this game. This game is so much fun. I did like the previous one, the previous Like a Dragon game. But this one's just taking it up to another level. Like the amount of different little side things in there and mini game stuff in there, it's bonkers. Yeah, it's just so fun. It's so fun. I did the complete Animal Crossing island to completion. Didn't have to do that, but I just did it because it was fun. The story and the story is the only one this year where I've been sat there like watching the story stuff, because some of the cutscenes do go on a little bit, and like there's a whole big story thing going on. And watch it like it's a soap opera, like it's just like mouth open, like when he drop these like bombshells, and I'm like openly gasping at what's happening in this, because I didn't expect it coming. It's just it's just a very, very fun game. Number 3. Is it number 3? That 5, 4, yeah. Helldivers 2. Like I said, it is a very fun multiplayer game. Probably I think the most hours I've put into a game this year is Helldivers 2, just because I've been playing with a few of my friends actually, can't get enough of it and just play it a lot, and they just end up roping me in. And like I said, it is just very fun just to romp about this big like world and just shoot bugs. Bugs is you've got to clear the world of these bugs, and it's been fun just go around unlocking parts of your ship, getting new gear, getting new guns, experiment with new gear. I don't miss the accidentally killing your teammates stuff, because that happens to me a lot, because people are clumsy and throw airstrikes on top of you while you're in the middle of trying to clear out a nest. It is a very good multiplayer game. Number 2 for me is Astrobot. I have finished it now. I did finish it. I saw Anna messaged a couple of weeks ago saying she'd finished it. Right, okay, I better get a grip now and finish this myself. And I finished it. It's like I said, it is incredibly frustrating at times. And I know it's me, but it doesn't help in the moment when I'm shouting at the screen because I missed a thing. But yeah, that final run, on that like end of the game is just very special, very, very special, and well worth finishing just to see that ending of that game. I can see why it won as many awards as it has done, and like I'm similar to Kev as well. I'm not a platform person. I came to this realization relatively recently, was that I'm not a platform person. I think it was last year with my Super Mario Wonder. I just don't think I'm a platform person. But these levels are small and bite-sized enough to the point where I'm like, I'm okay with this one. I'm okay. It's not. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about this, but it is very good.
They need to release a handheld version then, so that I can play it. I'm not sitting on a chair for any game.
You need a PlayStation Portal.
I almost bought one, but it seems excessive for this one game that I don't really want to play.
And number 1 is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Pretty much for everything, same as Anna said. It's such a fun game. The combat is great. The dialogue is great. There are side quests. Sorry?
Who did you bang?
Nev.
Interesting.
Nev, because I didn't flirt with everybody and get backed into a corner.
I think you'll find Nev enjoyed me flirting with everybody. She was all for it. Yeah.
You are right, Kev. There are a lot of fetch quests in that game, but it all goes towards your leveling up, getting your character's Veilguard ready, and everything goes towards that. And the side quests that matter, the companion quests, are arguably better than the main quests in many, many places. And I'm sure you did a lot of them ones, to be fair.
I did all of that stuff. Yeah.
So
Everybody was maxed out to the maximum.
Yes,
before
I
went to the
imagine
end.
you did a lot of stuff anyway. You say you didn't do a lot of the side quest stuff. I bet you did
No,
most of it.
Anna's saying I didn't do it. I reckon I did just about everything.
I reckon you probably
Everything
did.
I was aware of. My quest list was done at the end of that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
There wasn't stuff on there that I just didn't bother with. If I found it, I did it.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah, it's just such. I mean, to the point, like when me and Anna finished it a few weeks ago, everyone left the Discord after recording, and me and Anna stayed in there and just discussed the ending and what we did and the different things. And we probably stayed in there for about another half an hour just talking about the different stuff that went on with the game. And like Anna said, I very nearly wanted to start again. I looked
that final 2 or 3 hours is one of the best finales to a game I've ever played. Definitely.
Yeah, it's not one mission,
very
is
well
it?
done. No, it's very well done.
Yeah, it's one of them things that I looked into my library. Do I have Inquisition? Because I very much scoffed at Inquisition at the time because Witcher was the thing I was playing, and I was like, do I need to go back and play Inquisition? And I
you
do
should.
have it
It's better than this.
I have it in a few different places.
Better too, definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dragon Age Veilguard is very good and is my number one.
Right, looking through these lists then, we've got quite a few that have had more than one nomination. So we've got Dragon Age has been nominated by 3 people. Astrobot's been nominated by 3 people. Balatro by 2 because Pab cheated and withdrew it from his list.
No.
So I might have to take Dragon Age.
Do you want to know why I didn't vote for it?
Tactical reasons.
No, because I don't want it to. No, I don't want to let it take over me like it has to you. It's become everything. And I saw. Remember, I said to this at the time. I mean, I could open my Steam library and tell you how many hours I've played on it because I bet it's less than 10. Because I saw the danger in that game and went no.
I'm sure I saw somewhere there's a Witcher version of it coming.
No. There's Witcher cards in the game.
I just
there
saw
you go then. So
yeah, but it's just a skin on the cards. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you love the Witcher, Pabby.
And I'm not going to lie, I definitely bought the mobile version last week and I've played a couple of rounds of it. But it doesn't mean
I reckon
I've
spent £80 on this game this year because I've bought
it
on I've bought it on Steam, Switch, mobile, and that physical version that never arrived. So I think between all of them,
you should really follow that up.
I can't be bothered. It's a lot of faff. But yeah, they've both. What were we? Dragon Age and Astrobot have had 3 nominations. Balatro 2, but it should be 3 because Pab cheated. And then you've got the others. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is on there twice. Pokemon TCG Pocket's on there twice. Helldivers 2 is on there twice. So to me, there's an obvious 3, and then we need to decide on the 4th. The obvious 3 being Dragon Age, Astrobot, and Balatro.
I mean, I've always said this that I think Dragon Age and Astrobot should be on it. I can't find an argument against Balatro. I would be happy for Balatro to be on the list.
I jokingly mentioned in a chat that in a gaming chat that I'm in that we're going to record our game of the year and it's going to be an hour of justifying why it's Balatro, and the only responses it got to that at all were Balatro's amazing, it's a worthy game of the year, it should be game of the year, from like loads of different people. And I was very surprised. I was expecting a bit of a ha ha ha, you guys are ridiculous, and they were just like, yeah, good good choice. So yeah, I felt like that was worth noting.
I'm very upset that you haven't all played Metaphor, because I think if everyone had played it, it would be the 4th.
That's my next one, Kev. That is what I would argue to put in, but it's not on me. I've got my ones that I want in. But I've played 12 hours of Metaphor, and I can tell that it. Like I say, it was on my contenders list, having played only 12 hours and done next to nothing in the game. But I saw what it is. I know it's good.
Is there not any maths about how we rank them?
No,
we don't do maths at this point.
Yeah, there's even vote numbers don't count. This is all bartering and arguing. We could even add a 4th one that no one's even mentioned so far. Something to come from left field and be the 4th one on the final shortlist. I mean, obviously, Final Fantasy VII, Sheepdog's put in 1st place, Anna's put in 3rd place. So you two obviously quite keen on that one.
I do own that now. If that's anything to go by. I intend to play it next year.
That means it should win the whole thing, Pab.
I intend to play it next year.
Yeah.
That's what I did with Baldur's Gate, wasn't it?
It is. But Baldur's Gate still got through. You're all I needed to have played it all comes back to you, Pabby. Because if you hadn't have put me off Metaphor back in October, I'd have played it then, and then I'd have got Anna to play it. I'm still in the early stages of trying to get her to play it. And if she plays it, she'll love it too.
I don't understand it. I've seen it been played.
There's nothing to understand. You understand Persona.
Yeah, but I don't get It's weird.
No, not Balatro, Metaphor. Balatro's already in.
Balatro.
Oh, I meant Metaphor. I'm pretty sure I said Metaphor. I meant Metaphor. But yeah, if Pabby hadn't put me off Metaphor, I'd have played it.
I'll tell you what, right?
And I'd have had more time to get Anna to play it, and then she'd have put it in her 5, and then it would have been easy.
Yeah, it was
Metaphor would have been the 4th one, like it's supposed to be. Exactly.
How's it me putting you off? For weeks, I said to you, play this game. Don't buy it. Play the demo. Play the 8-hour demo, and you ignored me, bought it anyway, and then didn't do anything with it.
Did anybody play Black Myth Wukong?
No.
Because that got like 10 out of 10 ratings, like across the board from loads of people. And
I looked at it this week when I was trying to find a 5th game, and didn't. I mean, it just looks like more God of War style running around doing stuff that I don't really want to do. Anything that's described as with action in it, I'm a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, that was what, because I thought, it looks cool. And then I thought,
hold on, it's got an anthropomorphic monkey in it. I'm in.
Wow.
Get that on the list. I'm buying that right now.
That's what I meant by looks cool. It had a monkey.
Oh yeah, talking monkey. I am in. Get me this game. Is it in the Steam sale?
Slight sidetrack, but they were talking about Robbie Williams' biography film that's coming out, where he's he's replaced with a monkey through the story. Is how he sees himself. Mrs. Sheepdog was like, I would have watched it if the monkey weren't in it. I was like, I only want to watch it because he's got a monkey in it. Like, that is literally the only reason I'm interested, and it's probably the only reason anyone's interested. But yeah, monkeys make everything better.
It's full price still on Steam. That's a bit of a shame. Or I said buy it, play it now, and nominate it.
That and the Elden Ring DLC are the only sort of two big.
We're not allowing DLCs.
No, I know, but the Game Awards across the world all included those two, and I already discounted Elden Ring's DLC.
They also included Metaphor.
No, I know they did. All right, I thought it was already in. Sorry.
No, Metaphor's the one fighting with Final Fantasy, basically. At the moment, I think our 3 has to be Dragon Age, Astrobot, Balatro, and then we've got to narrow it down to the 4th. The 4th being probably between Metaphor, Final Fantasy, and I guess Helldivers 2, which is on there, but
I don't see it being them 2.
Pokemon TGC also got 2, Kev?
I mean, it's nowhere at the level of Metaphor. I assume it's not as good as Final Fantasy as well, even though I'm not a Final Fantasy chap. I think I only put it on because I hadn't played a 5th game.
Do you know what? I think if I hadn't played Baldur's Gate this year, I would have genuinely been scared that I wasn't going to play a game as good as Rebirth again. And then I happened to have the absolute fluke of playing Baldur's Gate 3 and finding that there's lots of games that are that good. And yay. I don't know if Metaphor would give me that feeling, though.
Right. Here's a proposal. We could do an absolute cop-out if we don't care about the Twitter vote. Because the reason we always narrowed it down to 4 was because of the Twitter vote. If we don't care about the Twitter vote, we could just do a shortlist of 5, and then we can vote on that. We could say our 5 for consideration are Dragon Age, Astrobot, Balatro, Metaphor, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We could just say they're the 5.
We could put those 2 in as number 4 on the Twitter vote and tell people to comment which one they're voting for, to be fair.
You know, make like a voting through like a website or something, whatever they do.
We could do like a straw poll and link. Then we could link to that on both Twitter and Blue Sky. People could vote in the same poll. There you go. So it's a 5 then. That's easy. So now our final job for us to decide our winner. This is where numbers count. we each need to put that 5 in order.
Oh, goodness.
And then, as ever, points are allocated. Your number 1 gets 5 points, number 2 gets 4 points, etc., etc. So the 5 that we all need to put in order are Dragon Age, Astrobot, Balatro, Metaphor, Final Fantasy. I will give you all a moment to put
Dragon
those
Age.
5 in order while I'm also trying to work out what order I'm putting them in. Right, that. Oh God, see, this is hard. Actually,
Yep.
you know what? I'm going to put them the other way round. And then, okay, it's getting easier. Is everyone else doing theirs? I assume everyone is working hard.
I don't
1, 2,
have the
3, 4,
brain
5.
capacity to do maths on it though.
That's fine. Right. I need another page of my book. I should have done this on the computer. Right. I tell you what, this is how we'll do it. We'll do I'll put them in order first. So my 5, I would go number 5, Astrobot. So that's 1 point for Astrobot from me. Number 4, Final Fantasy. And then number 3, Dragon Age. Number 2, Metaphor. And number 1, Balatro, as it was always going to be, because it is the best game that released this year. Sheepdog, would you like to put those 5 in order, reverse order, please, sir?
Yeah, although I'm
You write them somewhere because I've no idea
I'm
what's
writing it
going
down.
on.
I'm writing it down.
sat
Not
here
a
trying to
clue.
work out whether I'm making a mistake anywhere.
We'll have no tactics here. We should have put Pab first because he's the tactical voter.
Yeah, of course he is.
Mine's simple as shit. It's fine.
Right, well,
put
you
it-
go first. You go now, Pabby.
Go on, Pab.
No,
Want me to go
let's
now?
get let's get tactical voting Pab in.
Number 5, Final Fantasy 7.
Okay.
Number 4, Metaphor.
Yeah.
Number 3, Balatro. Number 2, Astrobot. And number 1, Dragon Age.
Okie doke. Sheephead.
I've done it in this order because obviously I've not played Dragon Age and Metaphor, so I went with Dragon Age at the bottom because I want to play Metaphor more than that. So Dragon Age 1 point, Metaphor 2, Astrobot 3, Balatro, that's my number 2, and Final Fantasy is my number 1.
And Anna, what is your reverse
No one's
order
written
top
these
5?
down anywhere.
I'm writing them all down.
No, as in on the computer.
Oh, what? You need the 5?
I haven't got anything to write down.
What do you need to write? I don't know what you're writing down.
Right,
You're just putting them on foot.
Balatro 1.
Right, so
Metaphor.
that's your 5th place, yeah?
Yeah, because I've never played
Okay.
it. Well,
Okay.
the other one that you're
Metaphor.
playing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then in 3rd place.
Final Fantasy, Astrobot, Dragon Age.
Okay, and now I just need to do my sums. Talk amongst yourself for a moment.
Oh, there we
I
go.
genuinely don't have the brains to have worked it out. There's probably listeners out there who've just gone, boom.
I know
it's
you
this.
said Sheepdog. You said you didn't. I think you need to play Dragon Age. I really think you need to play Dragon
you'll
Age.
like it.
I think you'll like it.
You like Final Fantasy, you'll like this.
I think
Yeah,
it's more
I
the
think you will.
timings, if that makes sense. I feel like Metaphor will take less time.
No,
You know it
Metaphor's an
won't.
80-hour
the opposite.
game.
All right,
Minimum.
okay.
Right.
That way.
We have
Okay.
the results, and it's gone in order. There's no ties. So,
Oh.
the Mature Gamer Podcast 2024 Game of the Year top 5. In 5th place is Metaphor Refantasio, because you haven't played it, you monsters. 4th place is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. 3rd place is Astrobot. And then in 2nd place, Balatro. So the official game of the year is Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Congratulations, Dragon Age. I mean, 2 of you did put it number 1. It's pretty hard to fight that. We just need to convince Anna to play Balatro, and then everything can change.
Why do you keep saying Balatro? I don't want to play a card
was the best
game.
game released this year. It's not a card game. It's not
Yes,
as simple
it
as
is.
that. It's so much more than a card game.
It's
On
a
the plus
card
side, it
game.
means I can spend the entire of summer playing the previous year's game of the year again and going, oh, it was really good actually. You were all correct.
Dragon Age is only like a 40-hour game. It won't take you all summer.
We'll
Yeah.
see
2
about that.
hours, as if.
I
Just
did.
break my
Me
hand
and
to
you
prove
got
you
the
wrong.
exact same ending, and I did it in half the time. So it's a 40-hour game. Just play it on easy, then the battles are so quick.
Yeah, see,
Even
that's
I didn't do that,
boring.
Kev. It was too easy.
All I want is the story. Seriously, if at any point I'd have failed a mission or died, I would have just turned it off.
I mean, I
I
didn't die
don't
at
I'm not
all.
interested in that.
I
I
Yeah,
think I
did die.
died once
obviously.
because I went into I was like, this is the wrong battle I should be in. And I
am very much at an
right,
age
I
now
don't
where I just want
know.
a choose your own adventure story with no jeopardy. And that is
Wow.
that is what I want from a computer game. I don't want there to be any possibility that I'm going to die at any point. Because I'm too close to my actual death now. I don't want to play it out in a video game. And I think that's what it is. But there you go, boys and girls. The poll will go up on the internet at some point. It'll be on both Twitter and Blue Sky. You will have to click to get to it. It won't be quite as simple as previously, but feel free to have your say. Obviously, your opinions are worth nothing unless you vote Balatro as number one, in which case we will defer to the audience vote this year and confirm next week that Balatro actually won after all. Kev's rules. We always have Kev's rules every year. But yeah, Dragon Age, well done, you big dragon rascal.
Yay.
You
Yeah.
big dragony rascal. But
Good
next
work.
week, boys and girls, it's my favorite episode of the year. It is the 15th annual at this point, Google Zeitgeist review of the year
Oh, I didn't
show.
check.
Which means Pabby will spend the next week cheating and memorizing all of the answers like he normally does. And then we'll play through it. Pab will be the winner. And
I
Sheepdog will
didn't
say,
win last
Kev,
year.
Sheepdog will go, Kev, why don't you play in it next year? And I'll go, because I'll cheat. So there's no point because I will cheat. And Pab will win again. You must have won it. Who won last year then?
I thought Anna won it last year.
Did you win last year, Anna?
I don't know
think
either.
cheating-
Maybe I did win,
If
but
I
it
make
was a
note-
lot closer than normal, and I was scrambling. I don't remember.
I think it was close, but I think you still won because you were cheating.
Is it
Did you
cheating if
try?
I make notes of things I remember organically throughout the week? Because
Well, that's what Pab does. So yes, it's cheating.
I can't remember last year at all. I don't mean through the thing. I just mean if anything pops into my head, like, oh yeah, a meteorite destroyed the entire country. I'll just
It's
make
also
note.
cheating to make notes during the episode, like Pab does.
What?
I know what
Never.
you do. Yeah, you're a monster. But that's next week, boys and girls. This week, if you haven't played Dragon Age yet, go and play it now. It's almost as good as Balatro, so you won't be wasting your time. But if you want to hassle us on the internet, you can do that at Mgukpodcast, or you can follow me at Lelujo.
And I'm at Sheepdog 6K.
Oh, I miss Lelujo.
And out at Pab 1986.
And we'll see you next week, boys and girls.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks, Lester, folks.
You're welcome, Pabby.